On June 1, 2018, Google announced that it would not renew its contract with the United States Department of Defense. 3,100 of the company's own employees had signed an open letter demanding the withdrawal. "We believe Google should not be in the business of war," they wrote. The announcement was covered globally as an act of corporate conscience. A company with genuine power over its own technology had chosen to draw a line. The story ended there in most of the coverage. But the program Google withdrew from did not stop. It expanded. The program was called Project Maven. Today, it is the longest-running, most operationally embedded AI targeting system in the United States military. It has been used in active conflict zones on multiple continents. It processes surveillance data at a scale no team of human analysts could approach. And unlike Lavender, where 6 intelligence officers spoke on the record and an error rate was publicly acknowledged, almost nothing about how Project Maven actually makes its decisions has ever been independently examined. Project Maven was formally launched in April 2017 by the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense. Its official designation was the Algorithmic Warfare Cross-Functional Team. The stated problem was specific. The United States military was flying hundreds of thousands of hours of surveillance drone time over Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Somalia, and Yemen. The footage was accumulating faster than human analysts could watch it. The intelligence bottleneck was not data collection, it was processing. Maven was built to solve that bottleneck. The system used machine learning to analyze drone surveillance footage automatically, identifying objects, vehicles, people, and behavioral patterns without requiring a human analyst to review every frame. Google provided the initial technology, TensorFlow image classification models applied to drone imagery at scale. The initial contract was valued at approximately $9 million. Within 12 months, the program's scope had expanded significantly. Within 2 years, Google was gone, and the contract had moved to defense-specialized contractors, Palantir, Anduril, and others, who had no employee petition culture and no public-facing AI ethics commitments. Maven continued. The controversy produced the appearance of scrutiny without the substance of it. The capability Maven was designed around and has continued to develop is called pattern of life analysis. The concept is straightforward. An individual in a region of interest moves through their day in patterns: where they sleep, where they go in the morning, which routes they take, who they meet, which vehicles they use, how those patterns shift in the days before an operation. Maven watches those patterns from above, continuously, across thousands of individuals simultaneously. It does not require an analyst to manually track each subject. It tracks them automatically, flags behavioral anomalies, and generates probabilistic assessments. The processing speed documented in Pentagon briefings: 10,000 potential target assessments per second. A trained human analyst reviewing drone footage might assess several dozen subjects in a full working day. Maven assesses that volume every fraction of a millisecond. But the more significant shift is not speed, it is direction. Traditional targeting intelligence started from a person. Identify a named individual, then track them. Maven inverts that process. It starts from the behavior and works backward. You are not finding a person and then watching them. You are watching patterns across an entire population and then producing candidates. A list of people whose observable behavior statistically resembles the behavioral signature of a militant operative. That inversion has a name in military doctrine: signature strikes. You are not authorizing a strike against a person you have identified. You are authorizing a strike against a behavioral signature, a pattern your system has assessed as consistent with militant activity. The legal framework for signature strikes was established under the Obama administration and subsequently maintained and expanded. It was designed for human analysts making individual case-by-case judgments. It was not written for machine systems generating thousands of simultaneous behavioral assessments per second. Maven has been deployed inside that framework without the framework being revised to account for it. The confirmed operational deployments of Project Maven span multiple active theaters: Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen. These are environments where the United States conducted strikes, directly or in support of partner forces, during the period Maven has been operational. Reporting by the Associated Press and the Bureau of Investigative Journalism has documented strikes in these theaters conducted against individuals on the basis of behavioral pattern analysis, in cases where no confirmed individual identity was established before the weapon was released. The specific role Maven's assessments played in individual strike decisions has not been publicly disclosed. The Pentagon has not released any accounting of which strikes involved Maven-generated data, what weight that data was given in the targeting chain, or what human review occurred between Maven's output and the final authorization. What has been confirmed? The system was operational in those environments. Strikes occurred. The relationship between those two facts has never been independently audited. With Lavender, the error rate entered the public record because officers inside the system described it. The military's own internal figure, 90% accuracy, became the basis for calculating how many people on the list were probably wrongly classified. That calculation was possible only because someone spoke. No one has spoken about Maven. The Government Accountability Office, the U.S. Federal Audit Agency, issued a report in 2021 noting that the Department of Defense lacked a comprehensive framework for evaluating the performance and risk of AI-enabled weapon systems. The report did not specifically examine Maven, but Maven is the largest and most operationally mature of those systems, and no subsequent public accounting has addressed the gap the GAO identified. What is Maven's error rate? The Pentagon has not published one. No independent researcher has been given access to evaluate it. No congressional oversight body has received a classified briefing on the subject that has since been described in any public record. That absence is not a minor gap in the documentation. Maven has operated in active strike environments on multiple continents for 8 years. The question of how often the system produces a wrong assessment and what happened after it did has no public answer. The opacity is also self-reinforcing. Each year, Maven operates without a documented incident, without a leak, without officers willing to describe what the human review actually looked like, makes such documentation less likely. Maven's operational history now spans multiple administrations, multiple commands, multiple theaters, and hundreds of thousands of hours of deployed use. The sources who could describe what happened between a Maven assessment and a strike authorization in Somalia in 2019 or Yemen in 2021 are harder to reach, more dispersed, and operating under classification frameworks that have tightened, not loosened, over time. Lavender and Maven operate on different data, one on digital communications, one on observable movement and behavior, but they share a structural logic that matters more than the technical details. Both systems were designed to solve the same problem: human cognitive limits in the face of surveillance data at scale. Both generate probabilistic assessments of human targets faster than any human process could. Both were deployed in environments where the space between the system's output and a strike authorization is defined by classified internal procedures that no independent party has ever examined. With Lavender, the compression of that space was documented: 20 seconds. A rubber stamp. An officer who described himself as having no added value as a human being. With Maven, the compression is invisible. The procedures exist, they are classified, and the result of those procedures, in the theaters where Maven operated, includes a count of dead individuals whose connection to Maven's outputs will never be part of any public record. That is not a failure of the system, it is the design. A targeting system that produces no documentation of its errors has no documented error rate. A program that generates no whistleblowers generates no investigations, and an investigation that never happens produces no accountability, which is the condition under which every subsequent deployment of a similar system occurs. Project Maven is 8 years old. In that time, it has been refined, expanded, and treated as a model. The proof that AI can be embedded in a military targeting chain and operated continuously across multiple active conflict environments. It is also the template that every major military is now working from. The question of what a human being's role should be in that chain, how much time, how much genuine decision-making authority, how much accountability, has not been answered by any international agreement, any domestic law, or any documented standard. The next video moves to a different question. Not how AI assists targeting, not how AI generates lists, but the first documented case in which an AI made the lethal decision, located, identified, and eliminated a target without any human authorization at all. That incident has a confirmed date, a confirmed location, and no one has been charged.